Okay, folks, I'll be along in just a minute. I'm just getting set up here. So while you're waiting, I'll give you a quick blast of Freaky Friday from the weekend. There, it was an absolutely brilliant show, but I'll be with you in just a couple of moments. Don't go anywhere, folks. Welcome to this week's Freaky Friday, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all buckled in, ready to go. Hope you're ready to get a little freaky with us guys here this Friday. And what an esteemed lineup we have on the panel tonight as we gather around the digital campfire. That's right, yes. We have got Scotty Lopez first up. How you doing, man? And I think we're quite lucky to have you tonight, Scott, because your PC seems to be on its deathbed, dude. How you doing, man?
Well, it's not on its deathbed, but we did have a major PC meltdown incident earlier in the week, and I'm just recovering from all that. So I'm doing good. And by the way, I got to say, it's August 31st, and if you reverse that, doesn't that make it a Friday the 13th?
Not in Scotland. September the 1st now.
Ah, come on, don't
Does that
ruin
make
it for
it the
everybody.
Does that make it the 9th of January? I'm gonna laugh, but no, you're quite right. We could make it a Friday the 13th, and I think the way things will develop and flow tonight, it most probably will be a Friday the 13th. But Joe. Okay, folks, we're almost there, and I want to thank you all for tuning in. It's just going to be a not too long. I always say not too long, don't I? But it always turns out to be quite long. But no, just catch up what's happened over the weekend. You know, I was watching Unirock this morning when I woke up, and man, oh man, was he informed today. He was on about the vampires over on YouTube. Urge you all to check that out. I've been enjoying a lot of YouTube over the weekend. JoeBot 5, Super Tramp, or is it? Yeah, Johnny Supertramp 10. And of course, Roosevelt. I advise you all to check these channels out. And Armand, you're in the chat room, man. I've seen you streaming at the weekend. Keep it up, dude. It's always good to see other people streaming as well. And I've also given you a big blue shiny wrench. So you are now added to the list of moderators. So you can keep an eye on everyone with Hillary. And I see Liza Jean in there as well. Now, I'll be along in a minute. I'm just going to share this out on Twitter and Facebook, so bear with me, folks. 2 moments and we'll get into it. I've got some news for us as well, okay? Okay, and that cool music there comes to us by courtesy of one of our listeners here, somebody that's really at the heart of Team KBS, Rob, over in the Netherlands. Yeah, a really good guy, sent me a lot of kind of back end, a lot of atmospheric stuff. So we're getting there, folks, slowly but surely. And I'll pop myself on the screen now before I forget. Still getting used to all this madness. It's really, really cool, but really, really hard to keep on top of as well. I think I need some kind of producer, director, something like that. It'll certainly have to be an unpaid role, folks, because there ain't no money in alternative media. Unless you want to push the queue. But listen, my man Unirock is doing so much great work on that side of things. Like I say, Roosevelt over on YouTube as well. Urge you check that channel out. Johnny Supertramp 10, that's another one. JoelBot 5 as well. I think it's JoelBot 5, but brilliant. And these are people who are really, really helping to, keep the people in the conspiracy circles under check. And that includes myself as well. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard, and some of the things that these guys are bringing to the table. And over on Twitter as well, I'm following this hashtag here. Should come up in a little second. Computer is so slow, folks, but we'll be fixing that real soon. Yeah, Op QAnon, some real good stuff on there. I don't know who done that to Jordan Sather. Somebody made him into a blue chicken. Can you believe that? Imagine the audacity of somebody turning Sather into a blue chicken. A conspiracy most foul. What can you say? What can you say? Now I'm going to look in the chat room. Are we getting a good stream, folks? Are we looking good? I kind of toned down the settings, so hopefully we'll be getting there now. But yeah, this is something I like to keep on top of. And you'll see Roosevelt, he posts on here as well. It's great stuff, great information. And as opposed to the barrage of posts that we still see from Q followers, nothing against them. I've said my piece on that. If you're still following it now, I have to believe you know what you're following, so that's cool. But it's the people still pushing it. And it's good to see over on Twitter a lot of people very, very actively trying to expose the scam. So listen, tonight on the Kev Baker Show, brand new guest. And this is somebody that Bill Bean has actually worked with. Now, Katie McHale will be on the show. Under Attack, Deepest, Darkest Secrets Revealed. And this is her book right here. And I'm going to be getting a lot of new authors on the show. A lot of giving people the platform. Because that's what Kev Baker Show is all about. And I imagine, from time to time, Uni himself, and I love Uni to bits, and I would never criticise him if he questions me or any of my guests, okay? Because I do go out there into the kind of far out topics, the woo-woo as I call it. But, this is somebody who tonight has lived through an experience that, well, it's the sort of thing you would think is only happening in horror movies. But this is a real life horror. Okay, so please tune in for that tonight. And that's 10 p.m. on the UK, in the UK, 5 p.m. on the East Coast, 2 p.m. on the West Coast. So, for some time, right, I've been kind of bleating on and harping on. And before I get into it, I'm going to go into the chat room later on. I can't do two things at once. I've had a word with myself. I can multitask, but only so far. So what we'll do is I'll get through a couple of stories. You know the way I go. I'm like Billy Connolly, the Scottish comedian. I forget what I'm talking about. So we'll go here, there, everywhere, back again. Maybe we'll end up what I was talking about in the first place, right? But see, I forgot what I was talking about already. So for some time, I've been talking about social media and the fact that they've hooked us in. And we've seen all the videos from people like Sean Parker, the guy that was behind Napster. You see him in the film network. I don't really trust that film network where it shows you Mark Zuckerberg and, the setting up the creation of Facebook, because it makes absolutely no mention of the DARPA program called LifeLog that ended mysteriously on the same day that Facebook started. Now, colour me kind of skeptical, colour me crazy, but I don't trust that film too much. So here we are today, years after social media came to us. And like I say, we hear all the time about the fact that when they were putting this together, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were using psychological techniques that would literally hook us into their product. They needed people to keep coming back. You know, business model of places like Facebook, they don't want you to visit once. They want you to visit constantly. They want you on there as long as they can and subject you to the adverts that make their money from, okay? So, new headline today caught my attention, and we'll get into it right now, because it says, cutting down on social media is as important for your health as stopping smoking and drinking, experts say, on the eve of scroll-free September. Now, that sounds a bit, you know, almost hyperbolic, doesn't it? Saying that social media could be as bad for your health as smoking and drinking. But this is pushing all the same buttons. It's the same chemical processes going on in people's brains as when they are addicted to tobacco, as when they are addicted to alcohol. It's firing off those same neurons, that addictive part of our brain. So is it as addictive? I would imagine so. Maybe not to the point where it's going to, you know, do in your organs and things like that, like smoking, your lungs, heart, alcohol, your liver, your kidneys. But it's a psychological effect that social media has on people. And it's all of us. I'm not giving myself some kind of get out of jail card here, folks. Social media plays a really big part in society today, bigger than we can even imagine. These are just websites in the end of the day. That's all they are. Yet look at how far they've kind of invaded every corner of society, especially Facebook, especially Twitter as well. And I use Twitter, so again, this could be seen as me being almost hypocritical. But I think we can all accept that social media, that's played a major part, along with the internet, in changing things. I even look at the world as pre and post Facebook. Yeah, we had MySpace and Bebo and things like that came along and they fell away. MySpace is back, but Facebook, that's the one that really changed everything. And it says here, getting young people to cut down on social media is as important to public health as campaigns designed to curb smoking and drinking. That is the warning issued by the Royal Society of Public Health, which is encouraging people to participate in the first ever scroll-free September in a bid to stop the negative mental health impacts caused by these online services. Do you want to know the ironic thing about this? I found this story scrolling down social media. So here it is, scroll-free September, and I found it by scrolling down. I just find that ironic. So it says here, previous research has found social media. I'm just going to turn this music down a wee bit, folks, just in case it gets a little bit annoying. It's hard to tell when you're on the stream. So it says, yeah, previous research has found social media use is linked to heightened feelings of anxiety and depression, poor sleep, and body image issues. The Scroll Free September campaign urges people to give up social media networks for a month, starting from tomorrow. Now, this was obviously on the last day of August. We're into the 3rd of September now, and I hold my hands up. I haven't been scroll-free. Yes, that's right. I'm a bad digital citizen, so I am. So it says it hopes those who take part will not use the services as frequently after a month. It follows similar campaigns like Dry January, which aims to break people's habits around alcohol by challenging them to stay sober for a month. And Smoking-Free Stoptober, which is held in October each year. Now, new statistics revealed women are more likely than men to take part in Scroll-Free September, which involves giving up the big 5 social media apps. Facebook, I'm on that. Instagram, I'm not on that. Snapchat, I've never even tried it. I don't get it. I like the little filters and things I see Anne playing with, but not. Twitter and YouTube, I'm on there. So 3 out of the 5, I'm a really naughty digital citizen. I'm hooked. So it says here, in Britain, 12% of people who have heard about the campaign, which equates to around 300,000 people, are expected to participate. So 12% of people who have heard about the campaign, which equates to around 300,000 people, 12% is 300. That doesn't work out. That would mean, like, say it was 10%, 10 times. That would mean 3 million was the population of Britain. No, Even Scotland's got a bigger population than that. But hey, don't let these facts get in the way of the Daily Mail story. Come on. It says here, when used in the right way, social media can have a lot of real positives for mental health and well-being, including improving social connectivity and providing a source of emotional support. That comes from somebody called Shirley Kramer, CBE and chief executive. She was telling Sky News. Oh, she was on Sky News. Sky News is as bad for me as CNN ever is. I call them lie news, but that's what they are, folks. Terrible. The issue is actually as important as, and in fact, in young people, may be more important than some other public health issues. The Royal Society for Public Health announced that 3 times more women than men were expected to participate. Now, I wonder why that is. I wonder if there's any actual, reason, what the reason is behind that, what they've come up with, why it's more popular with men. Are we more intuitive? Are we more nosy? Do we want to see what's going on more? I mean, everyone uses social media for different things, right? And I laugh at my mum. She's terrible, so she is, because the minute I go and look at Facebook, it must be like she's stalking the light. So the minute your green light goes on, I can guarantee my mum's going to message me. So you get people like that. And I suppose there's certain types of users of social media. And what we like and what we share, that's all part of, the data mining that's going on. And they've built profiles up on all of us, folks. I really do think that they can dictate how we feel on a day-to-day basis if we are on Facebook. And that might sound really, really weird, way out there. But there's been experiments in the past where they've done just that. They've skewed your news feed. They've put positive stuff there and they find that people, end up sharing more positive things. They put dark stuff on there and they find that people end up getting depressed, going, a little bit down. This is what they can do to us all the time. And that's why, excuse me in particular, I have tried staying off a bit more than I used to be on it. But again, running a show, doing this kind of stuff as well, you have to be on there. And people say, well, there's alternatives, you can use MeWe or whatever these other sites are, that's really good. But then you're really running the risk of becoming A, an echo chamber, and B, at some point, if any of those sites end up big enough, you don't think Facebook or, one of these other companies are going to come along and buy them out. The advertisements will come along, and once the advertisers come along, it's just the same as Facebook anyway. So you have to be on there. If you're doing something like I am, you out there listening to this, you could be entirely different. We're all on our own journeys. We're all doing our own things, but it's really hard, especially for me, trying to grow a show, trying to grow an audience, trying to get information, ideas out to people. It would be really, really hard for me to propagate, not propaganda, just get my information out to the masses. There's more chance that somebody who isn't into our kind of stuff is going to see it, actually, if it's on Facebook. Now, bear with me a moment, folks. Bear with me. So, okay, folks, I'm back. It was just Jimmy Jeans, I don't know if Jimmy's watching the show or not, but he must have sensed it. It must have been that kind of woo-woo going on, that entanglement myself and Jimmy have. Kristen in the chat room as well. How you doing, Kristen? You haven't missed much. Just been talking about Facebook. Oh, I hate pesky Facebook. But then again, we have to be there. And it's the fact that likes and shares, they knew fine well that would get people hooked into their product. And more so children. And I've said this before, I've had to really look at the way things have changed from when I was growing up to when now that my son, is still growing up. He's 16 now. And I know that every time, every generation between parents and their children, there comes a stage when, I remember it myself, I would say to my mum, oh, you're just getting so old, you're so out of touch. But when I compare how things had changed from when my mum was a girl to when she was growing up, had me, and I was a boy, wasn't really too much change. Yeah, TVs got kind of better looking, the technology was starting to come along with Walkmans, and then you had the DVD Discman, that kind of thing, into the consoles. But now look at the world. I mean, there was no internet when I was growing up. And I'm sure a lot of you listening to this, there wasn't any internet either. I mean, that was a game changer. And for children today, things truly have changed. They truly, truly have. Especially when it comes to social media. Most of their lives, or most of their almost social life, is online. How strange is that? They play parties, they play gaming, and it's not a criticism. It's what they do. Do you like my lava lamp? Got a cool lava lamp there. Do you see that? How cool is that? I won't ever have a set as cool as uni, but over the next couple of weeks, we will be seeing a vast improvement in the graphics, in the smoothness, because there will be new equipment getting incorporated, and that's thanks to the KBS family. And, of course, I'll be upping my game right here, getting more and more content out to you. I'll come back. I'll get my ugly mush back on the scene. I know you love all seeing me so much. Just seeing who else is in the chat room right now. Kristen. We've got Buzzacino. Buzzacino, I haven't got back to you yet, man, because I was kind of having a chilled weekend. And now I'm back into the shows. I will get back to you, dude. I promise. It's just hectic, absolutely hectic in the Matrix. I don't know what this video is here, but turn it off. But, yeah, so you've got this, right? And then I found this other story. And I think this ties in with what we're talking about here. I think we're actually starting to see now some kind of change. What am I talking about? It says, are we turning our back on technology overload? eBay shoppers can't get enough jigsaws and fishing rods as people are adopting a back-to-basics lifestyle. Now, this is good. I think this is positive, and I think, it's about a balance. It's about finding that equilibrium, that perfect balance between technology, the digital world, and, the good old nuts and bolts 3D world. The example I use, and I think it's a good example, is communication. And I think this is how you see things breaking down so quickly on social media into name calling and just abuse. And I've been there. I've reacted sometimes to some of the things that they say. But it's because most communication, you think it's just what you say, the words. It's not. It's about pitch. It's about tone. It's about body language. It's about eye contact. It's about how you say something. There's so much more than just characters and pixels on a screen. So it is good to get out there more. And I'm not saying that people watching this right now are all hermits living in the house, not getting out. But you see it more and more, folks. I remember Truth Stream Media. My good friends Aaron and Melissa, they've done a lot of videos, a lot of documentaries on technology. And the amount of times, there was one time in a restaurant, they're in there, and everyone, glued to the phone. Absolutely glued to it. So we do need to get some kind of pullback, some kind of balance back, especially with nature. Going out away, for me, here in the urban jungle, the smart city, Just going up the road, up to the Highlands, just driving through that countryside, that in itself, it's almost like a recharging feeling. And of course, the further you get from these big, sprawling metropolises, the less electromagnetic energy is affecting your buzz. Because we're all electromagnetic beings. That's what our bodies are. You know, and right now, we're basically living in a soup of nastiness that's killing our buzz. We've all got a frequency, and it's been well bombarded. So this here, you know, people starting to buy jigsaws, fishing rods. I like it, and I'll get a little bit out of it just so we can see what it's saying. With a constant stream of high-tech entertainment at our disposal via smartphones and tablets, many fear the simpler pursuits of the past are doomed to the attic. But it seems board games, jigsaws, colouring books, fishing rods and plastic model kits are providing an antidote to the computer games, streaming box sets and social media competing for our attention. A study of eBay sales over the past year suggests many of us, particularly parents, are increasingly turning our backs on so-called always-on technology. The auction website's UK retail report said searches for adults and kids fishing rods peaked in April and May, rising nearly threefold on the same period in 2017 as families sought safe places to fish on our rivers and coastlines. This was part of a wider trend towards family outings and staycations, as eBay saw rising sales of four-person tents. Now, we also have to factor into that, folks. Factor in that there was, of course, a really prolonged, early starting, beautiful summer. So I imagine that the weather played a big part in people getting out as well. And that's not to knock it. I mean, I'm positive about this. I like this story. I think we should all be getting back to things like this. You know, I actually enjoy it now when we find something to watch with the wee man, some kind of series, because you get to spend quality time. You can go out, you can spend time doing stuff, but the way things are going now, times have changed, and they would rather, you know, hang out with their mates like this on live streams, doing the gaming on the PS4, the Xbox. And it's hard when you see it, you know, when you're a parent and you have to just bite your tongue and you have to sit back, look at the bigger picture and realise that this is the kind of start of our symbiotic relationship with technology, whether we like it or not. I'm not saying we're all going to bend down and take a chip, folks. I'm not saying that. But you think an EMP today, think of what would happen if the EMP took out all of our electronics, everything. Think of how lost society would be. And I'm not saying we're all stupid and we wouldn't be able to handle that kind of thing. Think of the planes in the sky. Think of all the technology used in our hospitals. Think of the technology that's even incorporated into cars now, automobiles. You see what I'm saying? We really have become dependent. And I've done a show before called Welcome to the Technium. And they call the Technium the seventh kingdom of life. And that kingdom of life is technology. Sounds weird, right? We've already built another species, another life form that's taking shape right now on this planet. Weird stuff. And talking of building life forms, I always talk about artificial intelligence, right? And that's thanks to my good friend Anthony Patch. You know, he allows me to do the art for Entangled magazine every month. The cover of that. And you can get it at anthonypatch.com. But I've learned so much working alongside Anthony. It truly has been a blessing. It's something I would automatically be interested in anyway when it comes to all this AI stuff. But working with Anthony, it really has given me an ideal opportunity to wrap my head around this and watch it as it progresses. And it's progressing faster and faster all the time. I talk about this new species, this new species that's coming onto the planet. And that's exactly what we're talking about here with AI. Not the one in your phone that will, you know, Siri answer questions or the one that will overlay, you know, the smart, crazy filters that make you look funny when it looks at your photographs. Not that kind of AI. Different AI. Super intelligent AI. Artificial general intelligence. And this here, new artificial intelligence does something extraordinary. It remembers. So let's get into this. It's just a short article and we'll have a quick discussion. And I'll go into the chat room. We'll see what's happening in there. I'm going to issue a few wrenches. I don't mean I'm kicking people out. I mean I'm going to give people wrenches. Okay, I figured out how to do it dead quickly now. All good in the hood. So it says here, when you return to school after summer break, it may feel like you forgot everything you learned the year before. But if you learned it like an AI system does, you actually would have. As you sat down for the first day of class, your brain would take that as a cue to wipe the slate clean and start from scratch. AI systems' tendency to forget things it previously learned upon, taking on new information, is called catastrophic forgetting. That sounds like me when I'm in the middle of a show, when I'm talking about something and I forget where I'm going. That is catastrophic forgetting, okay? That's about as close as I'll ever get to an AI. Says the big problem here. See, cutting edge algorithms learn, so to speak, after analysing countless examples of what they're expected to do. A facial recognition AI system, for example, will analyse thousands of photos of people's faces, likely photos that have been manually annotated, so it'll be able to detect a face when it pops up in a video feed. But because these AI systems don't actually comprehend the underlying logic of what they're doing, teaching them to do anything else, even if it's pretty similar, like, say, recognizing specific emotions, means training them all over again from scratch. Once an algorithm is trained, it's done. We can't update it anymore. For years, scientists have been trying to figure out how to work around the problem. If they succeed, AI systems would be able to learn from a new set of training data without overwriting most of what they've already knew in the process. Basically, if the robots should someday rise up, our new overlords would be able to conquer all life on Earth and chew bubblegum at the same time. You see, I get criticised for going down the whole kind of scary monsters road when it comes to AI sometimes, but here we are, futurism, and I know it's probably tongue-in-cheek, right, and I'm taking it literally, but this is what we're talking about. This is the technology that we're literally breeding and cajoling and beckoning into our reality right now. And I say that because remember Geordie Rose? Remember all the stuff he was coming up with? You know, I'll just get it up here. He's the one that was talking about the demons and things. Geordie Rose, demons. And I'm not going to play it again. I've played it before on the show. He's the guy, you know, the money man, part of the two-man team that set D-Wave systems in motion. And he's also the man that talks about welcoming these entities into the world. You know, what the hell? Let's have a listen to what he says again. Let's do it. How you all doing out there? Hope you're all enjoying this so far. Yes, it takes a bit of time for this to load. You know, I'm trying. Here we go. We're ready.
Now that the thing is so much faster than Usain Bolt, like, for example, it's a spaceship, yeah? It's still doing the same thing, but it's doing it so much better because we're limited, because we're people. So what Kindred is trying to
Doesn't he look like he almost morphed through, like, a portal or something there?
Than people at everything. Now, there's a mental block that we have here when we think about this. Because when you think about that, one of your questions might be, for example, what are the applications?
Johnny Whistles in the chat room. So Whistles.
Imagine for $10, let's say, I could build a machine, like a little robot that had fingers and eyes and all that, and it could do your job better than you, no matter what it is. And I could sell that to your employer for, say, $15 and make a profit, instead of having to pay you $100,000 a year. Now imagine that was true for every single job. So that's what we're talking about here, is a complete and utter transformative change that of the likes of which has never been seen before in the history of humanity, making the Industrial Revolution.
Right, I need to pause that a minute because that is really off-putting, the fact that he looks like he's in mid kind of shift. So I'll just refresh this. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about because he's talking about it. New entities coming into our reality. Things that may not be aligned with us. No good story ever starts with welcoming things into our reality that look upon us like ants. There's no danger that story's going to end in a good way. If you want to speak to Whistles in the chat, he goes by the name of Stroney. Awesome stuff. You know, I tell you what, they say I watched... Here we go.
$10, let's say, I could build a machine, like a little robot that had fingers and eyes and all that. And it could do your job better than you, no matter what it is. And I could sell that to your employer for, say, $15 and make a profit, instead of having to pay you $100,000 a year. Now imagine that was true for every single job. So that's what we're talking about here, is a complete...
Oh, Geordie, what's happened to you, man?
Utter transformative change that of the likes of which has never been seen before in the history of humanity, making the Industrial Revolution look like a little tiny blip on the path that humans have taken from when we emerged from the ooze a few billion years ago. We are right on the verge of that transition now. So this guy, Rich Sutton, is one of the most famous people in the academic world of AI. And like many, when asked, when will this happen, he says things like this. 25% chance within 13 years of this thing that I'm talking about. You know, when you think about what you read on the news, you know, CNN, BuzzFeed, whatever, they're all kind of the same nowadays. Think about how unimportant that thing is that you're reading if this is true. Yeah? So what does this have to do with aliens? So Sam Harris, who I quite admire, is a very interesting guy, was reciting this parable at a TED Talk that he was giving, and it goes something like this. So, say I'm the President of the United States. So I received this message from the heavens. So my microwave dish, my SETI dish, finally captures something. And what it says is, in 50 years, or 13 years, we're coming to your planet. You got to be ready. Now just imagine what would happen if that happened.
Why is he so precise there, folks? In 50 or say 13 years? I mean, wouldn't it be more natural to say, like, 50 or 100 or 10, 15? 50 and 13? And he gives a date. He gives a date. What does he know that we don't? Go on, Geordie.
A super intelligent alien race beamed down a message to all of us Earthlings saying, we're coming July 13th, 2030, and boy, you better be ready because the mothership is landing right on the front lawn of the White House or wherever you wanted to land on that day. The amount...
July 13th, 2030. Anyone want to take a note of that date? I imagine, we won't be on YouTube by then, folks. Definitely will have been censored, silenced. Our freedom of speech would have been absolutely stripped, battered, kicked, bruised, flogged. You name it, you say it. But no, he's quite specific there. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I just don't know why. Here we go.
Of resources that would be marshaled to try to figure out what to do would encompass the whole world. AI is just like that. So when this thing that I'm talking about happens, it's going to be exactly the thing that you're thinking about those super intelligent AIs. So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us. So alien means, different. These things that we're building are not going to be people. They might be really smart, they might be really good at all sorts of different things, but they're not going to be like us. They're going to be aliens. And they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, way smarter than every single person in this room in ways that we can't even comprehend. So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm. One of the guys who talks about this is Elon, who says things like this, like, when you do this, beware. Because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram, and you're going to have your holy water out, and you're going to wave it at the thing, and by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. I don't know if any of you are turn-of-the-century weird fiction fans, but there's this guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous American weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest.
What can you say? What can you say to that? So when I talk about giving birth to a new species of things that don't give a shit about us, we're building them. He's doing it. And he's sitting there and he's criticising Elon Musk. And if you go back to this part in the video here, if it goes back there, we know how tech...
From Canada that was on the list at that time.
Just having a look,
so,
see if we can find it.
I've been trying to build the tech community in Vancouver.
Yes, Geordie, you're the man.
25 years. And the company, D-Wave, has been doing this.
You see, folks, you're going to see in a moment a thumbnail.
Things that happen when you build something like a quantum computer. But just as an aside, because I thought it was funny,
in the background there, D-Wave and the quantum key to the abyss. Geordie Rose listens to us because he knows we listen to him. And he criticises us for saying that there's going to be ooga boogas and creepers coming out of some dimensional hole that they're opening, right? And he goes, oh, no such thing. But I'll tell you what is coming. These creepy ancient old ones that don't give a shit about me or you. And he's the one doing it. He talks about pentagrams, and people wonder why I jokingly call the dude a warlock. He is one creepy, creepy character. Now, that being said, would I welcome him onto the Kev Baker Show? Absolutely. You know, absolutely. Despite what it might sound like, I've got utmost respect for him, and especially Eric Ladzinski, the other cat, who's the guy, the brains behind the D-Wave. So I would have them on the show, no problem at all. There'd be no ambush journalism from me. I'm not into that. You know, if I have somebody on the show, it's not going to be to set them up. It's not going to be to bring them on there and criticise them in any derogatory fashion. I would just want to find out what the hell's going on in his head. What does he know about the 13th of July, 2030 on the White House lawn that we don't? It's a really specific date, isn't it? And they've said that they've had communications with the other side, them and CERN. Who knows? Who knows? But back to this article, right? Johnny Whistles, I'm chuffed to bits you're in there, man. Really, really chuffed to bits, dude. I was looking at some of your photographs, Johnny, of where you're going to. Very envious, my friend. You know, you're getting away from the smart city. I think that's going to do you the world of good, man. And I'll be over into the chat room in just a moment. A little bit more from this. Says that's the big problem here. I've read that bit. Says for years scientists have done that bit. Catastrophic thinking, yeah. Catastrophic forgetting is one of the major hurdles preventing scientists from building an artificial general intelligence. Boom. That's the bad boy I'm talking about. That's the one that's enough to give you nightmares. That's the one that'll put hairs on the inside of your head, all right? AI that is all-encompassing, empathetic. It'll never be empathetic, folks. It can't have emotions. I don't care what you say. You know what people say, well, Kev, our emotions are just chemical releases and, you know, our brain interpreting things in certain ways, and They build the quantum computer on a model of our brain. Hence, could they have emotions? Could they have feelings? This is why I recommend people watch the show Humans out of the UK. And Anthony Patch is not a TV man at all, but him and his wife, they've watched that. And Anthony, I would say, he lost his hair when he seen this, but that ship sailed, and he knows that's just a wee bit of joking fun. But no, he is really blown away by the parallels that you see in that show and the stuff that we're talking about. Because mark my words, folks, they will at one point, whether they do become conscious or not, we'll be told they're conscious. We'll be told they've got feelings. We'll be told they've got emotions. And you just know there'll be people out in the street protesting for robot rights, AI rights. And before we know it, they'll have equal standing with all of us. Now, people may say, well, why shouldn't they? We give animals, we protect the animals. We're creating this new species. It shouldn't be there to be abused. It's a technology. It's a machine. Never lose sight of the fact, no matter how much they try to anthropomorphize these things. You like that word? It's my favourite word. When they make it look human, that's because they know how our brains work against, like the social media. They know how to make us accept these things. And the more they make them like us, the more chances we'll let our guard down. And before we know it, you know how the dystopic AI movies go. Come on, I don't need to spell it out. I'm already called a fearmonger. Don't make me do it. But no, I'm just looking here, see what else is on this, see if we need to go into any more of this. She says, Ingra or Irina Higgins, a senior research scientist at Google DeepMind, used her presentation and conference to announce that her team had begun to crack the code. She had developed an AI agent, sort of like a video game character, controlled by an AI algorithm that could think more creatively than a typical algorithm. It could imagine what the things it encountered in one virtual environment look like elsewhere. In other words, the neural net was able to disentangle certain objects it encountered in a simulated environment from the environment itself. Now, this isn't the same as a human's imagination, where we can come up with new mental images altogether. Think of a bird. You can probably conjure up an image of what a fictional, spherical, red bird might look like in the mind's eye. The AI system isn't that sophisticated because it's not a bloody human. It's a machine. But it can imagine objects that it's already seen in new configurations or locations. Whistles, you know what I need? I need whistles in here with gun. That's what this is calling for, I'm telling you. And if I need to run away in a minute, folks, it's because my better half will be due in. But it says, we want a machine to learn safe common sense in its exploration so it's not damaging itself, said Higgins in her speech at the conference, which had been organised by Good AI. She had published her paper on the preprint series at ARXIV earlier that week and also penned an accompanying blog post. Now, let's say you're working through the desert or walking through the desert, as one does, and you come across a cactus, one of those big two-armed ones that you'll see in the cartoons. You can recognise this as a cactus because you've probably encountered it before. Maybe your office bought some succulents to liven up the place. But even if your office is cactus-free, you've probably imagined what this desert cactus would look like in a big clay pot, maybe next to Brenda from accounting's desk. Now Higgins' AI system can pretty much do the same thing. With just 5 examples of how a given object looks at various angles, the AI agent learns that it is, how it relates to the environment, and also how it might look from other angles it hasn't seen, or in different lighting. The paper highlights how the algorithm was trained to spot a white suitcase on an armchair. After its training, the algorithm can then imagine how the object would look in an entirely new virtual world and recognise the object when it encounters there. Now look, I'm not some kind of Luddite, folks. I'm not. I love technology. Whistles will be the first to tell you. I'm into all this stuff. When it's for our betterment, when it's working for us, not us working for it. And when you listen to Geordie Rose more and more, he certainly paints a picture of us not even maybe working for it. We're going to be insignificant compared to it. And that's where you get to that whole question, you know? What does it do when it looks at the problems of the planet? What's the common denominator? You know, it might just figure out that us, the way we look at the ants, you know, thankfully, we're not that barbaric and genocidal yet that we've tried to rid the planet of all the animal species. We made a good go right enough over the ages. But how is this thing going to view us? Yeah, we've got a symbiotic relationship with that technology right now, but when does the technology outgrow us? When does it leave us behind? It's all interesting stuff to think about, eh? So then, let me go into the chat room. And for that, we've got a big chat page. Here we go. Let's get into the chat room. I do like that music. I really, really do. So, I'm going to have a look through the chat here. I want to thank you all for turning up today. Over 100 people. Now listen, if you want to, and I don't make a big fuss or a big deal about it, it's the one time I'll shout it out. You can find links in the description if you want to support the show. I've got a Patreon campaign as well. I'm not bringing you anything, you know, that isn't what I say it is. I'm not pretending to be anyone I'm not. And when I speculate, and I speculate a lot, I'll always tell you. So if you do want to support the team and be a part of Team KBS, check out PayPal, check out the links in the description, Patreon. But then, in the chat room, so we've got Armand in here. Do you like fishing? I love fishing, dude. I used to really love it when I was back home. Fort Augustus, where I'm from, there really wasn't that much to do. You know, when there was a youth club opened every Friday for 2 hours, that was like a big thing. So fishing, playing shinty, walking up in the hills, there was all that kind of stuff. Mushrooms, lots of mushrooms in the Highland as well, Armand. It says the royal family own the rights to most Scottish rivers. It's disgusting. You know, we used to have to pay for a permit to fish in a river that basically ran down past our doorstep. I mean, we had to go and pay for an actual license, and that was somebody English who owned that part of the river. And up north, you know, I think they still think it's the time of the Highland clearances. They really are still quite anti-English for good reasons. For good reasons, you know, and things like that. The locals just used to hate it. But it says people need to get out more, leave technology at home. That's from Hod God. How you doing, Hod? Great comment. Couldn't agree more. Liza Jean. In my opinion, parents are being negligent if devices are babysitting their children. That is very true. And you see that more and more with younger and younger children all the time. And what creeps me out, and it might not creep you, it might be nothing, but the fact that younger and younger, it's almost as if they're born with some kind of genetic memory of how to use devices. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm overthinking things. I don't know. But it's like they know what to press. It's like they know where to go. And like you get them into a game and they just play it. That's weird. So we've got CIA ran list of P protecting channels aligned with the TV news establishment, narrative whistleblowers, Unirock, Lively Locksmith. Oh, excellent. No, actually. Protecting. You see, here's the thing. CIA ran. Those people have refused to speak to Mikey, right? Mikey's been proven as disinfo, and if you look at the video that came out yesterday of vegan Mikey and his PayPal problems and things like this, you know, we're finding out that him, Lift the Veil, and Isaac Cappy, who I wouldn't have anywhere near my show, absolutely nowhere near my show, they've been splitting the donations that they're making. You know, I done a show the other night with a victim of satanic ritual abuse, And you can only do a show like that once every so often. And my heart was breaking listening to the victim of this talking. And I say you can only do a show like that once every so often, because if you've got a heart and you genuinely care about this, you know it's hard. And you have to pick and choose which ones you actually cover. Because there's so much misinfo and disinfo right now that I would actually turn around what you've said, CIA ran. And I would say that, you know, the people that are allegedly actually exposing all of this stuff with their creepy donuts and PG and all this stuff that they're all making cash from clicks from, they're the ones that are helping the establishment, because the real cases are now starting to fall through the cracks, because there's that much BS out there that everyone thinks that PG and everyone thinks that everything to do with this kind of topic, it's all crap. And that's because of the amount of crap that is out there. So if you want to find out about why these people can't be trusted, go to Unirock's channel. That's all I can say to that. Says David Warrock. No, I've butchered your name, dude. Does anyone want G5 other than phone company? G5? 5G maybe? 5G, that I mean, I've got a 5G router sitting right here. So the dangers of 5G, they've been well catalogued. They really, really have. And you've even got experts saying that the whole 5G rollout feels like a giant science experiment. So, yeah, 5G is definitely something we're going to be talking about a lot going into the future. Says here, flipping tunes, like that name. I get my bros and dad Airflix models for Christmas every year, and they love it. Awesome. I used to love making all the Spitfires and, you know, the old World War II stuff. That's what we need to get back to. Absolutely. Kristen B, you're on 5G as well. Ruth Kessler, you are now the proud owner of a wrench. There you go. Thank you, Ruth. And we've got Kev, why are you involved in covering up for Trey and Cat Daddy, the accused pedos? I've got absolutely no interest in what you're talking about. You know, I suffer the same crap that Voodoo Donuts have suffered. You know, people, ever since they were told that those P symbols, they were everything to go by. You know, I'd already decided on my logo, which is a pyramid. And the reason I chose a pyramid is because I know it was always going to make some people who are overly paranoid think I was part of the Illuminati. Do I look like I'm part of the Illuminati? But Unirock addressed this last night as well, and he made a good point. You know, the minute those symbols became public, do you honestly think they were using them again? So CIA ran, I'm not covering up for anyone. You've got it the wrong way round. You're watching and you're being hooked in to a massive psyop. And I worry about people like Lift the Veil, like Seaman, like so many others covering this on a daily basis, how they aren't emotionally affected. Real people can't talk about this every day, and real people really can't be profiting off the back of it, but they are. And you say, I'm covering up? That's your opinion, dude. And you're entitled to that. And I'm entitled to mine. That's what's good about this, right? Stay true. It's good to have open eyes and question the world around you. Consider why things the way they are. It's surprising how corrupt this world is and how the powers that be don't care for people. Absolutely well said. Stroney! Good people of the world, love these live shows from Kev. I can't wait to get you on one, Johnny. I really can't. We've got Dixon in there. I remember the days when TV was limited to only a few hours a day. You know, thankfully, I say thankfully, it's probably made a major effect on how it turned out, but thankfully my mum wasn't one of those people. And we've got Buzzacino in here. And Buzz, I'm going to give you a honorary wrench as well. Nature has always been our teacher. Everything we have learned started with observing nature. So when you look at the basics, you see that nothing in nature exists for itself. Everything works with everything else. Hence the creation of the term circle of life. Live for each other. Live for love. Awesome. Scroll down, see if we can catch up a bit. Seen a lot of hails for Stroney in there. Happy, obviously. Glasgow Celtic, absolutely hammered. Rangers yesterday, yes, happy boy. It was only 1-0, the final score, but it was more like going on 10-0. It really was. Men against boys as usual. Says Golden V, the man who gave me the name Whistles. That's right, I remember that. I remember when you told me you were to be called Whistles, Johnny. Good days, man, good days. Here we go down the rabbit hole. Always the very same how's it going and old China. Brilliant. Kristen, we didn't need a remote for 2 channels. I remember 3 channels, and then it took us years to get channel 4 in the UK. We have got a lot of people showing Whistles love, and Whistles is obviously still a huge part of the Kev Baker Show. Always will be. He's just been under the weather, and as soon as he's back, he'll be back, and hopefully he'll be doing live streams like this as well with me. So watch out for that in the future. So we've got see, is everyone telling Stroney Whistles how much they love him? And that's not a bad thing. Here we go. My Gandalf philosophy. You can ignore what you wish, for ignorance is bliss, but bliss just does not last. Consequences you shall not pass. Buzz, perfect, man. Armand Adams, they will roll out the synths. Okay, check us out. Check us out. This is the rollout of the synths that he's talking about. And this is the creepy website when it loads up. Sanctuary AI. Now, this is the synths that are rolling out. But I'll keep going down the chat just now. I don't want to keep you too much longer. We have got... This clip was whatever until I learned about synths. Exactly, Kristen. And there's the synths right there. Creepy, creepy. Whistles, this is get the shotgun material, dude. Oh, no. GCHQ will probably SWAT team me now for just thinking about a gun. It says, yep, the blue chicken will flutter out the spaceship. The blue avians. You got to love the blue avians. Making some really funny photoshops with blue avians. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to be accused of attacking anyone needlessly. But it says here, Anna Bowles. Can you imagine Trump telling us that? Tarred and feathered. Not sure what that was. Kev, you're involved in covering up, right? CIA ran. That's cool. Cool, dude. You know, at the end of the day, hide user. Bye. I don't see why people think I'm covering up all of the nasty stuff that's going on in the world by not talking about something that is absolutely not based on any evidence. Absolutely. And please go and watch Unirock from last night. He ripped these people apart with evidence. And they've all been caught. Okay, the PayPal got suspended because it looked like money laundering. Because money was coming in to Mikey and then it was going out 33% to Lift the Veil, 33% to Cappy, 33% to Mikey. And that's why they suspended the account. Because it looks dodgy, right? You know, if you're going to be covering that stuff, then why are you asking for money? Well, why aren't you telling people to go and complain to the police? Oh, wait. The only people to complain to the police was Voodoo Donuts, right? So, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I'm the problem here. These people are brainwashed. Absolutely brainwashed. So, says, well, Lisa Jane Williams, if you force them... No, see how you ran. It's not Kev saying it, the guy... It's the guy in the video. Armand, I don't know where that guy was coming from. You see in Uni's chat all the time as well. You didn't see the Ustream with Kev and Uni where he showed the clips on Uni's channel. Exactly, it's all out there. It's all out there. CIA ran. Kev and Uni have more than enough to cover as it is. Kev is the woo. Exactly, I'll be getting back to the woo, folks. This one really has... Even Joe Joseph said to me, he's like, wow, Kev, quite surprised at the way you've kind of gone up against QAnon. And it's because of what I thought about it, the fact that it is a lie and it's a scam. The people profiting off the back of taking advantage of people. They are taking advantage of people because they're convincing them it's something it's not. And then that day in the live stream where somebody was talking about how their mum had handed over $500 and now they were struggling to pay the bills. That's why I doubled down on my determination. And it's imploding. At the weekend, though, I seen a dangerous one where they were calling for people to be eliminated. Nice, peaceful kind of research group that they are. So it says here, you check the info on the power company websites like mine. It's straight propaganda, sales pitch, Agenda 25, Bay Area in the house. And folks, we're almost out of time, right? I'm going to go and get sorted now. We've been on over an hour. Remember, if you like this, share it, press the like. I'll be back with more and more of these streams in the near future, okay? Very near future. Because we'll be up in the game, not just here, but over on the Kev Baker Show as well. Don't forget, tonight, I'm going to be joined by this wonderful lady here, Katie McHale. And that is Under Attack, Deepest, Darkest Secrets Revealed. Until then, folks, I'm going to love you, I'm going to leave you, and keep it real.